Hey guys, Crazypostman here. Well, you can see I'm standing here with Yuka. Now, ever since my last video, some other people have been commenting that they're having positioning problems with their Yuka too. Now, I also get comments that, well, no kidding, you installed your RTK here underneath some trees. And to be honest, that is pretty light tree cover above it. It's not like it's really thick. And on the status page for the RTK, it says it receives 40 plus satellites fine. So I don't think that's the problem, but to make everybody happy and to have a fair test, here's what we're going to do today. Now, just so everybody knows, if you move your RTK unit, your maps are destroyed. You're going to have to delete all your maps and start over. There's no way to save them currently. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take this RTK and I'm going to just take it way out there in the center of the yard where there's nothing around it, and I'm going to plant it in the center of the front yard, and we're going to see if there's any huge difference. I'm going to have it mow the backyard here again, which it's mowed this twice now, and you can see a little strip. I don't know if you can see, but there's a strip here that you can tell it missed the last time it mowed. Right there. So there's a strip that it missed. And the first time it mowed, it missed several strips and it ran over a flower. So only missing one strip is an improvement, unless I go over there and look and there's some more flowers missing. So here's how we're going to power the RTK station out in the middle of the yard. I brought my EcoFlow Pro. I brought the AC adapter to separate the RTK station from the base station. I don't need the solar panels right now because there's no way the RTK station is going to drain that battery in a few hours. And there's no sun anyway. But just in case there's some sun, I'm going to deploy the solar panel to shade the battery pack so it doesn't get too hot. Let's go ahead and get things moved and start our experiment. So all we have to really do is just kind of reverse install our RTK station here. You can see it's still firmly planted in the ground there where I left it. All I really need to do is unplug this one little cord and then we're good to go. There we go. So now, all I have to do is just pull this back up out of the ground. Wow, that was in there pretty good. Ah! Man, a living. Oh, well, shit. That's a problem. Try to use my little weed puller to get down there and pull it up. You get on there and you push it down, and then you pull it up just like a weed. So I got out here to the front yard. I didn't go to the very middle, but you can see Luba's RTK is closer to the trees than we are, so Luba doesn't have a problem at all. It's getting loud out here with the bugs. There's nothing around. It's wide open out here, you can see. So we're going to go ahead and plant this RTK here in the ground. I'm not sure why that plug came out of the end like it did, but it did. So we'll just have to deal with that. I'm just going to step on this to push it back down into the ground. Okay, so I've rigged it up so it doesn't move. It is planted there solidly now, and it is in the wide open here. So none of y'all do what I did when I tried to wiggle this up out of the ground. Do not wiggle the pole while it's securely planted into the ground. It will break the bottom of the pole. Okay, the more you know. So now we're going to continue the experiment. So these are the last two pieces of the puzzle here. Got the solar panel and I got the accessory kit that has the RTK power supply in it. If you do the remote power supply, you have to also have this extension cord. Obviously I don't need it, but I have to use it. Oh, it is on. Sorry. I kept turning it off and on because it's drawing such little power, it doesn't even register on the battery as wattage. Yeah, it says there's 0 watts out right now. So this thing draws such little power, it's not even registered. So now we can set up the solar panel here. Not that I need it. This is just for fun now almost. So you can see here we got our battery pack, our dusty solar panel, and our RTK unit with a solid green light up there. We are pulling in 15 watts and taking out, it's not even showing up. It says 0. So this RTK unit is very energy efficient evidently. And it's powered up and good to go. So we're just going to leave this whole setup here in the yard for the rest of the test. Let's go find Yuka and let it know the unfortunate news that I moved its RTK station and we're going to have to remap. Okay, so we're opening up the Mammotion app here, and you can see I got the Yuka 2000 right there, and I got the old reliable Luba right over there too. But today we are working with the Yuka 2000. So we're going to go into the map and it's going to realize something's wrong. I'm going to say the RTK reference station has been moved. And now it warns you. It's like, hey, this is going to clear the current map. And we already knew that. And if you didn't know that before you moved it, so sorry. But now your maps are screwed. So we're going to completely clear everything. And here we go. Now we're going to make a map. And all I'm going to do is just map the identical area that we did last time, except this time I'm going to do it a little faster and not worry about filming it so much. So now our map is in landscape mode and we can go to create a map. I'm going to say create an area. I know. And we're going to start it right here.
Task area planning.
And here we go. I'm not going to worry so much about making the corners perfect because this map is going to get destroyed after this video because I'm going to take Yuka back to my house with me. The satellite signal so far is a little bit better, actually. I think. I am passing the area where Yuka ate the flower last time. I still have position. You know what? I might have to apologize. I really might. That RTK being under that tree really made a big difference. You know, even when you think you know everything, you can always be humbled. This episode is going to go from me thinking I was proving Yuka having a problem to an episode of RTK placement is key. You really got to have excellent coverage. All the people that think it's okay to put your RTK station in the attic, now I hope you can see that signal quality really means a lot. Even though you're receiving 40 satellites, it doesn't mean you're receiving 40 satellites well. So even just a few leaves above the RTK station caused Yuka to miss multiple rows and have a lot of signal loss. Wide open spaces is key to the RTK success. So guys, I really hope you understand what we just discovered here. RTK placement is paramount. So you can see I'm under this tree that I thought wasn't so bad, and it was just on vision for a second. So this is where I had the RTK unit, and it is just leaves above me. That was attenuating the signal enough to cause all the positioning problems. So now imagine the people that have their RTKs in their attics with plywood over the top of them, a layer of waterproof covering, and then a layer of shingles on top of that. That is definitely attenuating the signal, and these people are having problems and they just don't get it that you can't put your RTK in the attic. So if you get anything from what I'm saying today, don't put your RTK in the attic. Put it outside in the open, evidently in the wide open. Even near trees is going to cause you problems. Let's finish this map. Map complete. So I hit finish.
Task area complete.
It says task area complete. Go to work. So here's the plan. I'm going to put Yuka on the highest speed because it does not need to do a good job. It's mostly mowed, but I'm just going to watch its path and see if it misses anything, if we have any position problems like we did the first time. If you remember the first video, positioning was awful. It was missing rows. It was having vision only through most of the backyard. And now we know why. RTK placement is key. Just got to remember that one. So we're going to go ahead and start a mowing session here and see how it does. So we're going to touch here. We're going to bump this speed all the way up. Only do mow. We're going to do about 2/3. We'll go, I think 9.8 inches was what I did the first time, so that's what we'll do the second time. It was in less touch mode the first time instead of no touch, so we're going to stay there. And perimeter laps is set to 2. No-go zone laps set to 1. Zigzag first. So I'm going to hit start and we'll see what happens.
Start working.
Coming back to you live now, I have to say, it appears that it hasn't missed anything yet. And just watching the app, I can certainly tell it's switching over to vision less often than it was the first time when I was mowing. We're just going to follow behind it on this swipe, and I'm going to explain to you that I made a critical error. So while I was programming the zones, I forgot to program the no-go zones. So I am going to have to stop this session here and then program the no-go zones. But just following along behind it, you can see we are under pretty decent canopy right here. And it is still locked on position. You can see the hole here where it drove in there and ate that plant during the last session, but it has not invaded this session yet, so we're doing good there. See, it is still able to hold a satellite lock under here. Now the grass is kind of dead and dormant right now because it is hot and dry here in the summer, but it is going where it's supposed to go. Not really cutting much, but move, duck. Okay, it saw duck and slowed down for a second. You can see we are at 31% here. I'm going to let it do one more stripe and then I'm going to stop it. I guess I'm kind of used to that other robot I've been testing and completely forgot about no-go zones. With Yuka and Luba, you do have to mark off your no-go zones and create a map. The other one, I haven't been creating maps with it, so I just kind of forgot. So whenever this clicks over to 30, actually we'll just, yeah, 33%. That was great timing. So now, after I do the no-go zone, I can tell it to start back at 33%, and it should theoretically start about right here where it left off. If y'all remember this first no-go zone I'm making here, The last time I made it, it was 100% in vision only, and this time it didn't drop out of signal lock, not even once. Now I just zip over to the second no-go zone area and get it created, and then you can see me move the start progress up to 33%. So I'm back with you, and we got Luba going again, and it did pick up right where it left off. If you remember when I did make the no-go zone around that tree, it was visual position only for the whole no-go zone. I almost ran out of visual distance before I got done, and this time with the RTK out in the wide open, I had no problem maintaining a position lock the whole time around that no-go zone. RTK placement is key. If your robot is out somewhere with poor satellite signal, it is relying heavily on your RTK station. That RTK station needs as many satellites as possible. So when the robot gets under here in the trees and it has poor signal on some of the satellites, there's plenty of spare satellites to choose from. That's why it's important for the RTK to get as many as possible. So looking here, let's just look real quick. You can see my reference station has 37 L1 and 25 L2, and they pretty much share all of those in common. The robot, of course, has less on L1 because that's a higher frequency. It gets blocked easier. So that's why there is less L1 on Yuka than there is on the RTK station. You can see right here when we went past this big tree, the robot satellites went down pretty far. We're going to put this back in time lapse and let Yuka just finish up its mow. Pretty much case closed on the satellite positioning. I mean, we know why it didn't work well the first time. I've said it like 5 times now. No need to keep beating a dead horse. Well, looky there. If you remember the last time it mowed, right here in this area, it actually stopped because it lost satellite and it used up all of its vision buffer. So definitely did a lot better on this go around than it did the last go around. So we learned a lot today, and I hope everybody pays attention. My ancestry is mostly German, so I know a lot about being stubborn. So I hope y'all listen to this video and understand. Even though I thought I knew, I still learned something today. The RTK placement is extremely important, and it can cause you to have problems in low signal areas. See, we are underneath this thick tree, really thick, and it is popping over to vision just for a second, but then it switched right back to position lock. So it's just got a little bit more to do over here, and then it's gonna find out that it doesn't have a home. Yuka is homeless now, so it's gonna be really funny. It's getting low on battery. It's gonna want to go home and eat, and it doesn't have a home. Sorry, Yuka. So I really like the Yuka, I really do. Now that its positioning is solid and I know it was my fault, I'm pretty happy now. I am going to leave a comment on my original video that the positioning problems were my fault, because I made a big deal in that first video about the positioning problems. Here I thought I knew everything. Surely that spot over there where I had the RTK was fine and those leaves weren't causing a problem. But nope, I was wrong. The leaves were causing a problem. And out there where I have it now, no problem at all. So, people, get your RTKs out in the open. Get them out of the attic, out in the open, away from the house, away from trees. and you will not have many positioning problems at all. Alright, so we are done here today. I'm going to take Yuka back to my house with me because really there's nothing else for me to showcase here until fall. So when fall gets here, we will come back out here and try out the sweeper attachment with all these leaves up on the tree, because there's quite a few of them and there is a lot of leaves that fall during fall here. But until then, Yuka's coming back to my house with me, and I hope we all learned something today. Make sure you keep your RTK stations way out in the open. They need clear sky and as many satellites as possible. And the key thing here is the strongest possible signal. So you don't want it inside an attic getting its signal attenuated by the roof. You don't want it underneath trees getting its signal attenuated by the leaves. It needs blue sky. Thanks for watching this episode, and I will see y'all in the next one. Looks like I need to get a little bit more duct tape for my Luba 1's RTK up there. That's how we do around here. Duct tape and bell and wire fixes everything. It says 17 watts input, but I can promise you with full sun we're making more than 17 watts. It's because I have the maximum charge limit set to 90% in this EcoFlow battery pack. This thing does not use much juice. We stayed 90% the whole time and it's not even charging. It's like completely full.